तो हमारी जो आज की क्लास है वो है फ्रॉम द राइटली गाइडेड कैलिप्स विच इज़ रिलेटेड टू पेपर टू। ठीक है, पेपर टू में ठीक है राइटली गाइडेड कैलिप्स इज द मेन टॉपिक। ठीक है, देयर would be one question, at least one question from this topic. Sometimes the question might be from an individual caliph like Abu Bakr, Umar, Usman or Ali, their main events or the battles or the administration. लेकिन कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि आपसे पूछ लिया जाता है कि आउटलाइन द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ द कैलिफेट्स ऑफ ऑल फोर राइटली गाइडेड कैलिफ्स which make them a model of excellence, which make them an example of leaders for the Muslim rulers. So if the question is about, if the question is like such type of caliphs, like outline the characteristics of the caliphates. Caliphates means all four rightly guided caliphs, which make them an example of leadership for the Muslim rulers. Okay, which shows their quality, the way they ruled in accordance to Islamic teachings. Like we have another question, right? Right about the four rightly guided caliphs, how they ruled during their caliphates in accordance with Islamic values. Okay, for such type of questions, you have to refer the caliphate of all four rightly guided caliphs, the way they ruled, the way they set an example for the Muslim leaders today. Okay, the way they have been elected. Okay, the way they used to consult with their fellows, with their advisory council. Okay, you need to select some relevant examples from their caliphate. Like you can start your answer from here, that the rightly guided caliphs are an example of leadership for Muslims rulers, as firstly they were chosen by shura and the general consensus of the Muslims. First of all, you can talk about how they have been elected. Abu Bakr has been elected by the general consensus of the Muslim Ummah. Okay, firstly they were chosen by the shura, okay, and general consensus of the Muslims. Okay, they had elected, the people themselves had elected them. Okay, which shows, okay, which immediately establishes the democracy and proves that there is no place of dictatorship in the Muslim countries. Okay, these caliphs they used to um, solve their problems, they used to solve their issues through mutual consultation. Fine. They used to solve their issues through mutual consultation, through discussion, okay, through democracy. ठीक है, advice लेकर वो करते थे. So they had set an example, and here you can quote a famous speech of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, that Abu Bakr, after being elected as a caliph, what he said: "Help me if I am right, set me right if I am wrong, obey me as long as I obey Allah and His Messenger, and if I do not obey Allah and His Messenger, then obey me not." So first of all, you can write about the election, the way they have been elected, that they have been chosen by Shura, the advisory council, the general consensus. People they themselves had elected them, and this this is how they had established a democracy and proved that there is no place of dictatorship there. Abu Bakr nominated Umar, okay, and this has also been discussed first with the council, and then Abu Bakr nominated him as his successor. Umar, on his deathbed, he appointed a panel of six people to choose the next caliph. So they set an example for the leadership of the Muslim rulers, that the way they have to nominate their successor. Okay, Ali Radiallahu anhu was also elected by the Muslims in the mosque of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Talha and Zubair were the first to acknowledge him as a caliph. So it shows that it is, the caliphate is not a hereditary. Okay, Umar has not nominated his son. Even any one of them has not nominated as their son as their successor. So this is how there is no place for it in today's democratic world. Okay, this is one thing, that they have been elected. The way they have been elected, this they had set an example for the Muslim leaders today. In the same way, these caliphs they ruled the Islamic empire in accordance with the Islamic rules, Islamic laws. Okay, everyone was free to express their opinion. Okay, they used to consult with one another. Okay, the freedom of speech was there. They used to give their opinion. Okay, and here you can give some examples. Like it could be written that once a woman asked Umar Radiallahu anhu, or some sources mention that that was a man, that Umar during his caliphate, that how he made a shirt from a piece of a cloth that has been taken from Baitul Mal. Okay, that has been given, that has been received as a spoils of war. Okay, Umar Radiallahu anhu wanted to uh, give orders to his people. So he stood on the pulpit, member पे खड़े हुए, लोगों से पूछा कि that I am going to give you an order, would you accept? Okay, people said no. One of them, he stood and he said that they will not listen and they will not obey him. कहा कि हम आपकी बात नहीं सुनेंगे. Umar asked for the reason. ठीक है, उसने objection ये किया कि because the dress which you are wearing, it is made up from the cloth which has been distributed, which has been received as a spoil of war. Spoil of war के तौर पे आया था and that has been distributed equally amongst everyone. Okay, that was not that much enough that you can make your dress. How were you able to make your dress? Okay, it was not long enough for the others to make a shirt from, and he replied that his son had given him his share, and that is why he has made his shirt. He has made his shirt. He has made his dress from it. So they held themselves accountable before their people. Okay, these people, these leaders, they considered themselves accountable before their people. Everyone in the caliphate was also free to express their opinion and criticize the caliph. Okay, they used to take rounds in the streets of Medina to know and the condition of their people. Okay, these caliphs, they used to consult and they used to solve the matters after taking advice from their shura, the advisory council. ठीक है, मशवरा करने के बाद. And then when they had to take any decision, they were very much firm in it. Like we can take an example that Abu Bakr, after being elected as a caliph, and he decided to take action against the false prophets, the refusal to pay zakat. At every single step, at every single occasion, he sought advice from the council. ठीक है, हमेशा मशवरा करते हैं. But whenever he would take advice, he would see that whether the advice and the opinion is in accordance to the Quran and Sunnah and the teaching of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, or not. Okay, when he was advised not to take action against those who refused to pay zakat, he said that whoever makes difference between prayer and zakat, being the Prophet's successor, it is my duty to fight for it, whatever may be the consequences. Fine. In the same way, when he was suggested to compile the Quran, he straightforwardly said, "How can he do something which has not been done by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, nor he has commanded them to do so." Okay, these these things they show, these things they show their characteristics, their qualities, that they were firm, they were just. Okay, they were solving the issues in the light of the Quranic verses and the teachings of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Fine. In the same way, the caliphs were available to the people, okay, at all times, and that the judiciary was independent and nobody was above the law. We have examples, and most of the examples we have is from the Caliphate of Omar, because his rule is considered as a golden era of the rightly guided caliphs. During the time of the rightly guided caliphs, it was a golden time period, okay, in which Islamic empire expanded and different new administrative reforms have been introduced during that time. Okay, judiciary was completely independent, and Umar himself appeared before the court of Zaid bin Sabit. And when judge showed some respect to him, Umar Razila Talano got annoyed, saying that if you cannot do justice between us, then you are not fit for the post of judge. So these are the examples. Umar considered himself, he held himself accountable before his people. Okay, the way they treated Baitul Mal, okay, it was a public property and people were helped from the wealth from Baitul Mal. Okay, it was Islamic empire was a welfare empire, it was a welfare state, and people were given share from Baitul Mal also. Umar led a very simple life. Okay, when he had to proceed towards Jerusalem to sign a treaty with them, Umar took it as a public property. He took Baitul Mal as a public property, and he just took one camel from it, and he just took a camel from it, and he had a slave with him, and they were riding the camel turn by turn. Okay, so this shows his simplicity. The dress which he was wearing, it had so many patches on it. Okay, they were very simple. They were approachable. They were approachable. Even an ordinary person can approach him and lodge his complaint. Like we have an example of Abu Lulu Firoz. Firod had a complaint from his master, Mughira bin Shoba, about the tax which he was paying. So he approached Umar Radhiyallahu anhu and lodged his complaint, saying that his master is charging too much tax from him, to which Umar Radhiyallahu anhu listened his complaint and turned it down because it was not just. The demand was not just. So they led a very simple life. Okay, they considered themselves and they held themselves accountable before their people. So many examples are there. We can take some examples from the Caliphate of Usman anhu also. That Usman led a very simple life. Okay, he was very much lenient and kind-hearted person. Okay, he took firm action against some of his governors when they were not following and they were not ruling in accordance to the rules that he had set. Okay, some of the governors have been changed. He took firm action against the rebellion which broke out during his caliphate, and he did not want to shed Muslims' blood for the sake of his khilafat. Okay, they suggested him to use the state army to fight against these rebels, these mischief makers, to which Usman anhu refused. Fine. In the same way, Ali anhu he firmly dealt with Kharijites and he established his rule in the Islamic Empire very well. He took firm action against any type of rebellion which broke out during his Khilafat. So all these examples, these are the examples for the caliphs, for the leaders of the Muslim rulers today. Same way, we have the answer over here also that write about how the four rightly guided caliphs ruled during their caliphate in accordance with the Islamic values. So when such type of question is asked, you need to refer at least most of these uh, caliphs. Okay, that all four caliphs led the Muslim in their prayers also. Umar was attacked when he was leading the Fajr prayer. Ali was also attacked when he was going and he was leading the Fajr prayer in the month of Ramadan. Usman was attacked when he was reciting the Quran. Okay, in the same way, when Umar Radhiyallahu anhu suggested to compile the Quran to Abu Bakr hesitated, saying, okay, that why should we do a work which was not done by the Prophet? So it shows that how carefully he took steps and avoided the deviation from the Prophet peace upon him's path. They wanted to follow the footsteps of the Holy Prophet peace upon him in everything. Okay, Omar was attacked when he was leading the prayer. Okay, in the same way, being a ruler, they had a sense of responsibility. This is also one of the greatest character, their attribute. Okay, Abu Bakr and Umar, they used to walk in the streets of Medina and they used to check the condition of the people. If they found someone in need of help and support, they themselves provided them with support. Once Umar was on his routine patrolling, ठीक है चक्कर लगा रहे थे तो he noticed an old woman living somewhere away from the city. So she started complaining about Umar radhiyallahu anhu that the caliph do not know about her condition. ठीक है उसने बहुत ज़्यादा उनको complain की और she was not aware that she was complaining to the caliph himself. Okay, Umar realized the condition of the woman and he himself went to Medina and took some meal and some eatable items from Baitul Mal and he loaded it on his back and he himself came to the house of that lady and provided all whatever she wanted. Okay, and asked excuse from her also. ठीक है उन्होंने उनसे excuse भी किया कि that the caliph had realized his mistake and now okay I would request you to forgive him this time. So Umar once said, I will be questioned even if a dog, some sources mention that even if a goat dies hungry on the bank of the Euphrates. Fine, so these examples could be given in your answer. And in the same way, they were very much responsible, okay, about the Baitul Mal, the use of, they have not taken too much salaries from Baitul Mal. They considered it a public treasury, and most of them they had returned their salaries at the time before their death. So before their death, Usman radhiyallahu anhu, even Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu, they returned the salaries which they had received from Baitul Mal. Umar radhiyallahu anhu, when he took the charge of the office, okay, it was discussed that what should be the salary of the caliph. So Umar said that the salary of a labor would be the salary of the caliph. ठीक है लोगों ने कहा कि how could you survive in that low salary. ठीक है, आप कैसे सर्वाइव करेंगे, अपने एक्सपेंसेस को कैसे मीट करेंगे, कहा कि द सेम वे द लेबर an ordinary person will survive and meet his expenses. And if he will think that this is not suitable and not enough, then he will raise the salary of the labor. ठीक है, तो इस तरह की बात आपके आंसर में आ सकती है. So you need to give examples in your answer from these caliphs. ठीक है, and they followed the Islamic principle of consultation according to the Quran, and their rule is to take counsel amongst themselves. ठीक है, वो अपने मशवरे से कामों को करते हैं. Umar made majlis shura, and for this purpose, and every important thing was decided after consultation with knowledgeable companions. Okay, he discussed several matters with them, and this is how the matters were referred to Quran and Hadith of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Okay, we have another example from the Caliphate of Umar Radhiyallahu anhu, that once Umar Radhiyallahu anhu wanted to fix the minimum amount of meher, okay, the payment which is made by the, ठीक है, दुल्हा जो पेमेंट करते हैं दुल्हन को, ठीक है, तो he wanted to fix some amount for it. A lady came and argued with him, and she quoted the verses of Surah 4, verse number 20, to which Umar radhiyallahu anhu, uh, he kept silent for a while, and he thought for a while, and later on he said, Umar was wrong, and the lady corrected him. Okay, and he decided not to fix any minimum amount for this meher, or any fixed amount for this. So हमें इससे ये पता चल रहा है कि दे यूज टू accept their mistake, they were approachable, they were they held themselves accountable before their people. This is how these rightly guided caliphs, they are ruled in accordance with the Islamic values.